Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really short knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Miguron M Akri, which is a little bit shorter than the standard Akri. It's also a little bit less expensive. This is a very, very good entry-level front flipper. So for those of you new to the knife world and you're interested in front flippers, you just don't want to spend a whole bunch of money, this is a really good one to start with. There's a few choices out there, but this is a really good one to start with. Thanks so much to Miguron for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement. This knife is available in a few different configurations. I'll link it down in the description, as well as the standard Akri. There's even a premium Akri if you want titanium and M390. But yeah, I'll link everything down in the description. The overall length of this guy is coming in at about 7 1/8. Blade length is coming in at about 3 1/8, and cutting edge is about 2.85. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. It's very similar in overall length to the 80-20.5. It's just much more slender. It actually has about the same amount of cutting edge, obviously nowhere near the size of the 80-10. How about we put it up against the Spyderco PM2, which I was throwing all over the place trying to pick up off camera, and then up against the Spyderco Para 3. Once again, closer to the overall length of the Para 3, but much slimmer, and actually still has more cutting edge. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? Personally, I don't prefer knives that are front flipper only, but that's a preference. If you're going to do a front flipper and a front flipper only, it better be really, really good. And this one is really, really good. It does have that, you know, aesthetic unicorn horn, but they've done this the right way. So if you're new to front flippers, or, you know, you're really picky about front flippers, this is a really good one. They have done this correctly. You can even use the side of your index finger. That's how perfectly tuned the D10 is and how good the leverage point is. It's just nice. It works. The more you play with it, the more that it becomes second nature, and it's nice. Also, the lock bar access is really, really good. There's a big open area. So while it's not cut, you know, super low over here, they give you plenty of access, and it's easy to get in there, disengage it, have it fall down to your thumb in that choil area, so not on the sharpened portion of the blade. It's just all of the little tiny things you want to have done right. They have done it correctly. Runs on bearings. You probably could have guessed that. Let's do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. This does have contoured G10 on top of full steel liners, so it is a bit thicker than you might expect, but with a knife that's this small, personally, I kind of prefer that. I don't like little tiny slender frames that are also like credit card thin. That really bothers me, but people are going to feel differently about that. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This is a stupidly easy object to carry, even with it being a little bit thick. Honestly, even in dress pants, athletic shorts, it's just really, really easy to carry. Let's go ahead and weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? We are looking at, in this case, PVD coated 14C28N. We're going to return to that and talk about the HRC range that Miguron uses on this blade. Then we're also looking at, like I said, really nice contoured sort of battleship gray G10, and then PVD coated liners, a G10 backspacer, and a PVD coated steel, a stamped steel pocket clip. And there is, to my knowledge, a little bit of milling for weight reduction. Yeah, so what are we looking at for weight? My guess is you're looking at 3 to mid 3s. You're looking at 3. So it still comes in as basically an ultra lightweight knife. The way that I describe it, 3 ounces or less, or anything under 3 ounces is ultra lightweight. And the reason I have that line is because I found that I am substantially more likely, exponentially more likely, to forget that the knife is even in my pocket the further below 3 ounces that it goes. So that's kind of my line there. I personally don't like to carry anything that's too much lighter, because I will forget about it. It'll get washed. Let's get out my tools and do a hardware check. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them down in the description or the pinned comment. The pivot is a T8, and the only body screw on this side is a T8. They have used T6 for the pocket clip screws. I think you probably could have found a way to just use one, because it's nested. You could use one screw on this side, holding in the clip, and you could also make that T8 just by widening things out a little bit for access, but that's fine. Easy to disassemble. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. There is no mounting position on this side for lefty pocket clips. Miguron, I do not know what your guys' deal is with leaving lefties out
It is ridiculous. I feel like you guys are, from a business perspective, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Just give lefties a place to mount their pocket clips. You don't have to necessarily make entirely, left-hand dedicated locking systems. But, geez, even on, let's see if I can find if I have a Miguron, even on your crossbar locks, which are ambidextrous locking systems. It's almost like you're intentionally mocking left-handed people. You guys have symmetrical clips. You have ambidextrous locking systems and still no spots for people to mount these clips on the other side. I don't understand. This is also a symmetrical clip. Just put another hole right here. It's so weird, but okay, whatever. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness. So blade stock thickness on this knife is coming in at 125 thousandths. Okay, not a ton to say. It's pretty straightforward. You have an ergonomic, classic handle profile. You have a very typical drop point, like a slender drop point blade. This knife is going to do exactly what you expect it to do. I do like the crown spine. I also wish you guys would add a little more jimping out here. This is comfortable to hang on to. The pocket clip does have a bit of a bill, but it's not too bad. It's kind of spoon shaped at the edge. So with this being a more compact and kind of slender design, not this way, but this way, that's kind of why I like that these scales are a bit thicker and they're also radiused or contoured, right? The edges are knocked down as well. It just gives me a little bit more confidence in hand. The edge, right? It's not incredibly thin. It's not what I'd call thick edge, but it's fine. The factory cutting edge is also fine. This is a PVD coating. While PVD is up there in like the top three better coatings to put on a blade. A lot of people have made an argument for titanium nitride or the TICN or whatever that is. So maybe I just don't have a lot of experience with it. But typically what you're going to see for the nicer coatings is like the Cerakote and the PVD, and then way off in another universe at number 1 is DLC. PVD is fine, and it comes in a bunch, a few different colors. It can come in a few different colors. The Cerakote, right? Also, it's like typical for like firearms and stuff. Fine, it'll offer a little bit of additional corrosion resistance, but don't expect this to hold up like while you're cutting like extensively. It'll definitely wear off. If you really want a hyper durable coating, you're gonna have to pay more money for it, and it's gonna be DLC. That's a completely different type of coating, but it's fine. I mean, for $40, which is what this knife costs, it's fine. It's cool, right? It looks good. You can also get it uncoated if you want to. What's the HRC of Miguron's 14C28N? Well, it's 57 to 59, and a lot of people are going to cringe at that. If we look at what 14C28N, like the actual range for what they consider to be, like the people who make it, Sandvik, what they consider to be the appropriate HRC range is literally anywhere from 55 to 62. Now, what is a better range for a pocket knife? It's going to be higher. The lower range of that HRC is going to be beneficial for people who are making fixed blades or buying fixed blades and plan to pound the crap out of them. Then okay, right? You might benefit more from a lower HRC range in that 14C28N. And the increased toughness. The benefit of 14C28N is it's a very tough steel for it also being stainless. So on a pocket knife, especially something like this and everything else that Miguron makes, we don't need the toughness that would come along with HRC down 55, 56, 57, 58. We don't need that toughness. You're never going to be doing anything with this knife where the toughness that would come from that lower HRC range would rear its head, right? So I think while they're not on the absolute lowest end of it, I think Miguron is too low with this. I think you guys should at least be hitting it where a lot of other companies are hitting it, which is 58 to 60 or even 59, 61. Just to get a little bit better. I mean, edge retention is going to be far more important than the added benefit. It's plenty tough. 14C28N is plenty tough at 59, 60, or even 61, right? It's fine for what this is realistically going to be used for. So I think you guys should bump up a little bit, and I don't think that it would add that much cost. However, is this a bad HRC range? 57 to 59. A lot of people who have been conditioned by social media content, YouTube content to just with not understanding or just not having the proper context. A lot of newer people or people who just are not super familiar, with, not that I'm a professional, but but are just not very familiar with knife steel and HRC ranges and stuff, a lot of people have been conditioned to just think that anything that's under 60 is bad. And, you know, they probably don't even think about it, but that's kind of a trigger, right? So I'll remind you that every different composition has a different optimal range because the cake mix of every composition is different and the intended purpose behind the composition is different. Furthermore, geometry can play the biggest role. It does play the biggest role in performance. So it's really a multi-directional teeter-totter, right? The composition and all of the different elements that can affect performance. So is 57 to 59 bad? No, it's just not great. It's kind of like M390 industry standard 5961. My opinion is that it should be 60-62 and ideally even higher, but at least that. That's kind of where I'm at with that. 58 to 60 would be kind of like, you know, the 57-59 is like the 59-61 M390, right? So bumping it up to 58 to 60 would be like, you know, the optimal or what I would prefer to see with M390, which is 60 to 62. Does that make sense? Are you buying a bad pocket? No, far from it, right? 14 seats 28N is not going to win any edge retention awards even when it's perfectly heat treated, or I'm sorry, not perfectly, but at a higher HRC range. It is still a composition that is meant to have okay, anywhere from meh to okay edge retention, but have really, really great toughness, which benefits people buying pocket knives at this price point because you're gonna use them a lot, right? Probably not going to be super careful with them. It's way less likely to chip on you, much more likely to roll, be very, very easy to maintain and touch up, and it's still stainless, right? So that's my honest opinion about that. There's not really anything else to talk about this knife. It is very, very straightforward. There's a lanyard hole, there's a back spacer, right? Full lip steel liners. In and out of the pocket, very easy. Pocket clip retention, right? It's steel, it's stamped, it's simple, straightforward. You have a stop pin located in its traditional position. No shouldering, but that's fine. It doesn't necessarily need it. Your lockup is completely and totally solid. There is no lock stick. There's no blade play up, down, left, or right, which we do in this position. I think I already said that. There's no pivot lash. Smooth and consistent in here, and the appropriate detent. This, I think, is slightly off to the right, which is a bummer, but it's not typical of, maybe that's an optical illusion. I think it's maybe slightly. Miguron typically does not have issues with centering, and you can adjust it. At this price point, I still want it to be centered, but I'm a little more lenient there. $40, is that a good price for this knife? Yeah, it's fine. If you are a beginner or you just want a budget front flipper, you know, maybe you're buying your first front flipper, I would recommend this, right? It's going to go in my cheap knives I like playlist, and I think it's great for newer people or people who are, you know, budget oriented, but it's not a knife that I would say the average knife enthusiast needs to be kicking a door in for. But it's good, so that's where it'll go. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.